keep the train rolling with these album reviews. We got an album that I probably would have overlooked if this had came out the year before.
Yeah, I know we had a friend who suggested this band a couple years ago when we saw them in Sacramento.
Yeah.
We spent 5 minutes at the stage and then we went elsewhere. I don't know who went to go see.
What we're talking about here is Avatar with their 7th album, Avatar Country.
This album is the first album since AC/DC that incorporates one word in every track, and it's amazing.
If you haven't seen already, every track on this album is about a king. What king? I don't know what king. Yeah, like I said before, Avatar is a band that I never really paid that much attention to, and I don't really know that much about them.
We didn't even know they had 7 albums. When I went into this, I thought this was their sophomore release, and I almost introduced this video as their sophomore release.
Yeah. So I knew they were from Sweden, which is like the capital of the world for metal, so that's a good sign.
Pretty much.
I really had this like preconceived notion for possibly how they sound, and listening to Avatar Country, I was totally wrong with what I thought they sounded like.
Yeah, it was tough to... When we first saw them, they were all dressed up like a carnival, and you couldn't really pinpoint their sound, but this one, you kind of get that avant-garde feel for this band.
You get that opening, that, not really a track, but that's that introduction, that Glory to Our King. Yes,
Yes.
Glory to Our King. It leads into that next song, that Legend of the King. I was like,
Second song.
I was like, holy crap. I said, this is not what I expected this band to sound like.
No, the second track almost sounds like a power metal song, and then the third track, The King Welcomes You to Avatar Country, I almost got this country rock feel to it. So you went from this like power metal sound to like this weird country rock feel.
The Legend of the King's the longest song on the album, and it's that really epic, yeah, like you said, almost like power metal-ish kind of thing. But the third track, The King Welcomes You to Avatar Country, is almost what I thought the band sounded like. I said, okay, this sounds familiar to me. This is pretty much what I thought this band sounded like.
Yeah.
You know, it matches the gimmick that they do.
Yes, that's again, it's that avant-garde feel. I almost had this weird country rock.
Country.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, this goes this goes along with them.
But the crazy thing about this album is it doesn't stop there. After these 2 tracks, nothing else sounds the same.
King's Harvest blew my mind. I was like, holy crap. I said, I didn't know this band could be this heavy. I said, this is amazing.
Might be the heaviest track in the album.
Yeah, it's my favorite one too, by far.
I would say King's Harvest is up there. The King Wants You is good.
The King Wants You, I really like how upbeat it is, and like it really keeps the flow going from something heavy like the King's Harvest.
Then you get the break in the album, The King Speaks, which is a little weird. They talk about the king being
The
constipated.
King is no longer constipated.
But now
the royal enema worked. I was like, okay. I said, I'll roll with it.
Track 7, A Statue of the King, was the first track I actually heard for this album. When we were trying to figure out an album to review, I go, John, check this track out. And I thought it was something different, and it was really good. And again, it's still heavy, but it has that avant-garde, thing going on for it.
The first time I heard Statue of the King, I think I told you, like, before it starts to get a little bit more heavy, I said, alright, I don't really care for this. I said, this is why I kind of overlooked the band, because this is the sound that I portrayed with them. But then once it got heavy, I said, okay, now you have my interest.
Then it goes into King After King.
King After King's not bad.
It's not bad. It might be one of the weaker tracks on the album. And again, the next 2 tracks, Silent Songs of the King Part 1 and 2, I had this complaint with the last 2 albums we listened to, where the tracks were very weak at the end, the last tracks. These 2 are instrumental tracks. Part 1 is like almost an electronic kind of, techno kind of thing. And then the 10th track, Part 2, is really heavy. And I just feel like, for all these other albums we listened to, I was bitching about how they have weak tracks at the end. These are instrumentals, but I think they really, really drive the point across with this album.
I like how they ended the album with these 2 parts. Even they're very well done instrumentals.
I kick myself now that we didn't stay and watch them that whole set that they played a couple years ago.
Now, this is an album that definitely was not what I thought it would be.
Not
at all. And I'm very glad that I listened to it. Personally, I've been looking for something new to listen to. Like, I've really been listening to a lot of the same thing over and over again. Like, that's how I felt anyway. But Avatar is exactly what I needed right now.
And it's crazy, for a 43-minute album, there's a lot that happens between track 1 and track 10. and the more I listen to it, it's one of my favorite releases so far.
And now we get into our rating system here of whether this album is not worthy, or realm worthy. This is realm worthy.
I'm gonna agree with you on that one.
This is really, this album is awesome.
For something I just mentioned a couple weeks ago, hey, we should review this album. Yeah. This is the strong one right now. We are in February of 2018, and this right now is a real strong album. Something we definitely needed. Realm worthy all the way.
And then we get into our age-old question of, does it dadcore? And by definition, dadcore is not this album.
Not this album.
This absolutely does not dadcore.
If your father is John Petrucci, sure, maybe that's dadcore. But if you're into that prog, avant-garde, just something different for metal, this is totally not dadcore. This is not something that your father would do the Aztec two-step to.
No, this is an album that I'm glad I listened to. I'm glad I gave Avatar a chance. It gives me a really big reason to go back to their previous releases since I don't know those too well. Avatar Country, I don't know what king they're talking about, but it must be a pretty awesome king because this album is really well done.
Yes, and do not overlook it. If you haven't heard this album, you stop this video where you sit right now, go to Amazon because I can't find a store that has this album.
I couldn't either.
And order it, and buy it, and listen to it, and love it. And love it like it was your own child.
You won't regret it.
Not at all.